gotta leave it to the professionals.
Last bite on me, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Body.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, GM. Thanks so much for joining us. Man, I completely had a brain fart there. Steve is back. We're going to get him up on stage here in a second. For those that are tuned in the video feed, you'll see him behind the scenes, or not even behind the scenes. It's a Monday morning. GM, everyone. Thanks for joining Coffee with Captain. As always, never any financial advice on the show. Crypto's risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exceptionally risky, and go to zero to bonus notice. Know that Steve and I likely hold tokens we'll talk about from time to time here on the show, and we are not financial advisors, certainly not your financial advisors. Please don't join us for that. Just join us for some fun, some information, some education, and some nonsense along the way. GM Steve, good to have you back in the co-host seat, sir.
GM, good to be back. It was good listening last week to everybody and all the wonderful co-hosts that we had. GM, Von Front, Bordeaux, Saka, Big Bear, Dort in the house, RDL hanging out, Teacher Katie, always early in the abstract chat, Mesh is having fun. Thomas, I'm going to go ahead and say, give us a like, a retweet, and a comment on the room. I know normally we ask for this in general, a bookmark.
Nerfed. Yeah, really nerfed.
Not just nerfed. So as part of my routine in this thing, I go to your page from the DGen handle, like, retweet, comment, send people to abstract. I do my own. I would click on your page and it would be blank. I click on your page at one point and there is no space and no video. So any love we can get on the space, as we mentioned, for us and for our wonderful sponsors. If you like what we do here, it helps us when, we appreciate all the tips in the world, but the way we really get to bring this to you on a regular basis. And by the way, I believe starting next week, we are going to have more things to give away to y'all. So that's going to be pretty fun. So get ready for that. Something that we're working on.
Some other comments is X down. So it's been, I don't know what's been going on. It's been finicky for almost the last week, but Yeah, appreciate everyone powering through and helping us out there, because a few other comments, Mesh in the abstract chat was just asking if X is down. We are live on X. So I guess, what did you have to do to get to it? You just keep refreshing? Did you force close X? What it eventually, because I was like, man, maybe Steve forgot to jump in the space. You did hop up there. What did you do to get it to appear?
No, I kept refreshing. And in fact, Giant letting us know like X is busted. He clicked on my page. He sees it blank. I've had that happen. So we're going to power through it. But this is also what we talk about when we talk about platform risk sometimes. When we, I am, I have recommitted to starting to diversify a little bit over on LinkedIn, because I have my nerdy content that, probably will be better on LinkedIn than on X at times anyway. And potentially some other places. I know we're live on YouTube as well, which, RDL, Big Bear, Dort Von Frunten over there in the YouTube streets. So we appreciate that. That's something that we probably need to flip on a little bit. I know we're working with our guy Payne on that, but yeah, it's a, man, X is crazy, man. It is definitely one that is been wonky the past few weeks. This is the weird part. We jam on these, we jam. And by the way, for those who are in the chat, we appreciate you. We jam on these projects for bad communication. How has X not issued a statement about the fact that its entire product has been, like, I went to my page too to see like where everything is. My last thing is something I retweeted from like OpenSea when Lara was hosting a space there, and, Ape Concierge. And then I reload, and I put out a post this morning. You put out a post this morning. It's simply not showing up. So
I guess the alpha everyone's saying in the abstract, just keep refreshing. That's super annoying, but yeah, we would. Even if you're listening in the video, you found us, congratulations. We appreciate everyone tuning in to the video stream on X, on Abstract, on YouTube. Greatly appreciated there. But yeah, if everyone doesn't mind giving to this actual audio space a little extra love this morning, a like, a repost, a bookmark on that audio space on X for my account would be greatly appreciated, as it has been buried. It's almost as if we're not live this morning, Steve.
It is. It's crazy. By the way, Dort with the GM and the MetaMask, but I'm doing this manually because I can't get to the X to refresh over and over again. So we'll do the GMs manually on here. It's weird seeing our faces a little like there. GM to all those people out there, Riz Brian out there, Dobbins, Snowflake, good to see you. 20 hours later on Extra with seeing all the things, people in the chat, Giant, all of our good friends out there, Mesh, and it stopped loading for me as I was going through. So that's that, I guess. But thank you if you're out there. We see you. We appreciate it. I have a question. You know what we need to do? We need to get like Michael K on the show or something, because Dort showed me the MetaMask card. I'm not certain what the Snowflake might have an answer for us on X. So we'll bring Snowflake up here while we're in the cold open. But I'm not sure. Like, I want to know about more about the MetaMask card. I saw it hyped up. I think it's fair to say this now. I would have had the opportunity to have one of those OG metal MetaMask cards had I gone to, I think it was ETH Denver. I got an invite to the thing, and I just didn't go to ETH Denver. Something else going on with MetaMask that I actually need to get involved with potentially that's coming down the pike, which is pretty cool. So I need to have that conversation, but I definitely want to have a MetaMask conversation at some point with them about the card and everything that they're building, because all of these brands, I actually have a topic getting into this morning related to consumer crypto in general, but we'll save that. But Snowflake, do you have an answer for us on X, or what brought you up here, GM?
GM, right now in Miami, attending some events and the fashion week and, pumping. But hey, I agree with you. The X was glitchy, but the worst thing is when people are posting and something may be important and you see those posts like 20 hours later, that's not acceptable. Like you scroll like next day and you see the post from the previous day, like it just was posted now. And it wasn't even like retweeted by anybody. Posts have no comments. Like, apes are posting something about the products, about development, something happened and nobody can see those posts. Like, I feel like the X, I don't know what they did, but a couple of weeks ago, maybe launched some algorithm basically, or targeting location, or targeting like to see if it's related to the region and it's not working well, or they're just slowing down the news. Like, it's not normal to see even like the game for Celtics or for Knicks or something like this posted in one day and appearing the next day on the feed. It's absolutely not normal. Yeah, like how like the Knicks game, sometimes some of the posts have 0 comments. That just makes no sense.
Yeah,
right?
I saw this yesterday in Cap. I don't know if you experienced this as well, but like I saw a post go out and like there was a period of time with X where I would see someone put out a post like someone who has a lot of notification. I'll just use CoinDesk as an example. I have like a list there. And like CoinDesk, like 4 views, 1 comment. It's like, and they'd have the post out for a half hour. And I guess you just got to keep tweeting through it. So it's definitely definitely an issue that we're running into.
Good time to volume shoot and not be concerned about your views and impressions. Just go into it that assuming it's going to get nerfed and it's not you. It's not that you're bad content. X is actually broken this time.
Yeah. I know. I'm seeing like comments coming on like a post I put out this morning. I know you pinned it to the top a little earlier as well. And it's like, I'm seeing the comments fly in and it's, 400 views or whatever. So I don't know. We're gonna rock through it. We'll be here no matter what. Keep moving through it. But Cap, I have a couple things. But what is on your tick list today?
Well, I'm drinking some hot honey, some local hot honey in my coffee. And man, I've done cayenne in my coffee previously as part of like upgraded coffee. I've never done actual just straight hot honey. I'm like a hot honey fan on like pizza and certain dishes. I've never done it in my coffee. First time this morning, and it's got nice little extra kick to it. So that's the coffee alpha this morning is don't be shy of dropping, some hot honey in there. Worked on the tan this weekend. You saw that on Friday. I did get now I have multiple shades of farmer tan going. I have the farmer tan here at the sleeve line. I have the second farmer tan at the tank top. I am all different shades of red, white, and in a little bit of brown. But news-wise, I feel as if the war room in particular, it's not just a war room. I feel as if the timeline is waking up to Rekt Brands, Rekt Drinks. We are going to have Ovi on at some point, I promise. We traded multiple DMs, just have not landed on a date that works for both of us. We will do that. It hit me this weekend. Like I'm minted Rekt guys. I've held forever. I hold some Rekt token. I've got the abstract Rekt down here. You can't see it down on the floor. There you are. The abstract Rekt drink. I sent out, I think it was Saturday morning, and sent out a post, just giving them some shout outs. And it hit me. I don't even know if it's close. I think they might be building the best consumer brand, leveraging Web3 network effects, Web3 momentum. It hit me on Saturday when I sent the post out, and my post got swarmed like it would when you aped into a new 10K animal PFP collection in 2021. Like that energy, that genuine, authentic excitement that, sure, maybe some people were faking it, but there was a lot that were really the excitement, the energy, just like the culture, there was something magical about 2021 that I don't think we're ever going to get back at scale. I think they're building it with Rekt Brands, with Rekt Drinks. Very few people are talking about it. Then I made that comment. I sent out a post on Sunday kind of saying that, like, hey, they're bringing the 2021 vibes back, except instead of another 10K PFP collection, it's a real world brand, a brand that is heading towards 1 million units sold this year, a brand that has $50 million in marketing budget in their community pool. Compare that to Red Bull when they launched with $1 million marketing budget their first year. By the way, the original Red Bull story is pretty cool. If you've never went down that, that's a good rabbit hole to go down sometime. But long story short, that's what's on my mind this morning. I shout out to our guy Dort, who just picked up a fire Rekt guy this morning. Saw that in the war room. I've been supportive, but I've been supportive from afar. It's one like I hold. I'm kind of like a passive fan. I am like, if I think about this cycle, I think some of the winners that have won and will continue to win throughout this cycle, like from a token point standpoint, it's like Fartcoin, Hype, GG to all the Hype Liquid, Hyperliquid fanboys and fangirls out there that just reaching all-time highs again. And that ecosystem is like, they've won. Like they are winning this cycle. Kaito is winning this cycle, right? Like may it be over? I don't know. Like maybe they fumbled the ball at some point, all these ones I just mentioned, but there's some, from my perspective, there appears to be some clear winners already that I think they're going to continue to win throughout the cycle. The one that I also feel is a clear winner that is going to continue to win, but I feels like at the earliest stages of their winning is Rekt Drinks, Rekt Brand, Rekt Guy. we've seen like the token is back to almost all-time highs now. So the token is responding to this recent surge in momentum and ultimately the execution of the team. What we haven't necessarily seen, I don't know, is if the original NFT collection in kind. And I'm not saying go out and run out and buy a Rekt guy. That's not what this isn't about. Like, I'll go pump my bags. I hold one Rekt guy. I'm not selling it. So it isn't like, oh, go pump my bags. I'm getting really excited because I think we're really seeing we're seeing the future of the continuation of on-chain loyalty programs. With all due respect, we're started with like the Starbucks of the world and the Odyssey program and some of the stuff where you were introducing real world loyalty mechanics on chain in taking, like, loyalty programs aren't new, but they're primed for disruption. Like, they haven't evolved. Like, the evolution of loyalty programs went from a business card that you got stamps on or cutouts on to, oh, they're going to track it electronically. That's been like they put it on an app. That's been the evolution of loyalty programs for the past 50 years. I really feel like this is something that's going to change significantly. We all would agree it's just far better to put this stuff on chain. And Rekt Drinks is doing it. Like, they're doing it with their drag. They have a fun drop coming up with OpenSea and just even simply pitting the US versus Europe, like doing a lot of fun stuff the space loves. They're tapping into the degen culture. They're doing everything you would expect of a crypto native brand. And yet they're shipping potentially millions of units of a real world product this year, Steve.
This is it's funny you did this because this is like tangentially like exactly related to a topic that I have been struggling with a little bit in the crypto space as I was thinking about some stuff last week.
That's why I'm getting so excited. I've been getting like, felt like we've been moving back. I said on the show, I feel like the innovation I feel like we're moving backward. That's like, you just summed it up for me. Rekt Drinks, Rekt Brands, what OV and the team is doing. It is a breath of fresh air. And candidly, I needed it, man. I needed someone that like wasn't just another freaking meme coin launch pad. That, oh, this is like Elon just pulled out another 200 million over the weekend. I don't know if you saw that, but it's like, are we just going to continue to give these founders who, I created a website that allows you to launch a token and we're going to give him $1 billion of liquidity this year, of like actual extracted value this cycle? Like, that's just, what are we doing? Like, wake up. Let's start supporting some, no offense to, like, obviously Pump Fund found product market fit. It's just insane to me that's what's being celebrated this cycle, is founders who are extracting hundreds of millions of dollars. Conversely, you've got founders like Ovi, who's just pouring more millions back into the ecosystem. Let's start supporting the right people. Let's start putting people on a pedestal who are building with the ethos of space, who are giving back to the space. And this isn't a shot at Elon. It just so happens to be they built the best product of the cycle, and everyone else is chasing that instead of doing something different. And yeah, this was sorry to cut you off. This just, you nailed it. It's like what hit me. It's not like it just started. I finally grasped what they're really building and the culture they have there. And it was like a very much so needed breath of fresh air for me.
So I don't know as much about it or the ecosystem. I have like a high level understanding of it from listening to a couple different interviews. There's a couple things that are interesting here. I think number one, it's interesting listening to OV talk because he is one of us in the sense that he very much talks about the market and understands it, but also is running a real business. So it's kind of cool seeing somebody who's like actually really tied into the market and thinking about it, doing that. But the reason I said this is tangentially related to something that I've been thinking about, and I know we got a lot of hands on stage, so we'll get to those in just a second, but it's what I love about the Rekt brand and 90cc for that matter, which is another one that I am not a fashionista person. I'm wearing a sweatshirt with holes in it that I've had for 4 years that I wear regularly and a pair of Lululemon sweatpants. I am not a fashion person by any means. But I will tell you, like, you know, the brand he's building at the front of fashion is a real loyalty program with interesting on-chain mechanics. He bought a bunch of CryptoPunks back in the day. He doesn't need to be here, right? And then I look at like someone like Ovi and the business he's building. And I was having this discussion over the weekend with a friend about one of the frustrating things about Web3 is that everybody just tries to build to get more money out of the people that are currently in Web3. And it's no offense to anybody who's just dropping a token, but dropping a token with no plan or no real thought behind it and figuring it out, like, that's not doing anybody any good. The products that people are putting out where it's like, hey, how do we integrate another chain, another launch pad, another airdrop, another whatever? And it just is something that is like, I had this concept years ago about you know, when you look at like some of these, you know, marketplaces, whether it was Looks Rare or OpenSea or Magic Eden or any of these marketplaces, and it's like, okay, at some point, what should your product be? And I had this idea, this vision, which nobody has built yet, which is, why wouldn't you make that one central location for everybody? In the sense that you go there and you could build a Discord competitor. Everybody hated Discord at the time. They're like 2022. I don't like Discord. It's got all your information, all your announcements, all your official socials, all your official pages. It's got your Discord and your community central location. It's got your hub. And then if a big brand comes in to build an NFT loyalty program, well, you could white label it for them. If a small brand comes in and wants to build, well, they could launch on Magic Eden, OpenSea, Looks Rare, all these different things. And it's like, that's a product thinking 5, 7, 10 years down the line, a gallery that actually lets you do it. So my real world assets that I have, the cards that I have on Beezy can be displayed like they're in a room so that when I'm showing them to friends and family, it's a whole new product. But instead, everybody's like, well, wait, you know, I look at like, the latest, like, you know, tokens, chains, airdrops. It's like everybody's building for that group here. But Rekt Drinks and 90cc, they are building a product to obfuscate the technology to bring it to other people. And to me, they're like, what can this technology do to empower people? And to me, that is a very, very exciting opportunity. Dort's feeling it in the chat to see how people are doing that. And like, it's interesting because I understand the model is like, hey, VCs and CEOs can get paid out right away because they can say, hey, we have a token coming down, the token drops, we get paid. But I don't know, like the idea of building an actual product for actual people outside of the space and an actual brand that ships, I just think that that's a huge opportunity that you don't see from some of these large, well-monetized brands. And like, I just think it's a really cool thing to see. And by the way, that's not a knock on anybody. I don't think the next 20 million people are coming in to buy meme coins. I know that that's a hot take to some people, but go talk about meme coins to anybody. I know maybe there's a younger generation I'm missing out on. People have told me that, but I think you talk to most people ages, 27 and up, and you explain to them the concept of meme coin, and they're like, oh, is that like the Trump coin thing that happened right after the election that like caused a whole kerfuffle and a bunch of people lost money on? Like, that's the perception. It's not the product that's bringing people in, but there is technology here that can bring people in. And so I don't know. That's my rant on that one, Cap. I know we have some hands, but
I'll let you take it to Mason. It looks like we lost Diego, at least on my end. Maybe not. X is finicky. So if you're up here, my apologies. But I'll let you take his hands. I messaged just in the abstract touch says I was at AVAX hackathon this weekend, and they were literally not interested in anything that went beyond their chain. No interest in use cases beyond existing people already here and already on AVAX. It's surprising to me, as they seem like one of the chains who actually is doing some stuff with whether it's the California driver's license or people who aren't here. Maybe that was just a one-off hackathon. It's shocking to me that that's the mindset today, because I'm on the other end of that discussion. I think it's stuff like this that's going to onboard people into, on chain. It's not going to be more meme coins. Mason, GM, go ahead and get back in here. Appreciate your patience. And it looks like we got Diego coming back up as well. Mason, if you're there.
Hey, appreciate GM. Appreciate you having me up here. No, Cap, I just wanted to jump up because I did see you posting a lot about Rekt recently, and I've honestly felt this. Like I did a stream with OSF, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I've always kind of felt this about Rekt Brands, but then actually sitting there and talking to them, it kind of just dawned on me of like, we look at Web3 and we're always looking for like this example, right? And we have one that's like glaring right in front of us. So much so where it's like, OSF is constantly streaming, constantly, kind of doing what you guys do, talking about the market, giving education back, doing so much where it's like, I feel like we almost don't even look at Rekt Brands as like a project because it's transcended so much of what this space represents. And it kind of it dawned on me too, like now the fact that they really are breaking into Web 2 in my opinion, one of the like hardest industries, like a beverage industry. Like that is just such a tough industry to like kind of make your stake in. And the fact that they're doing this off of a free mint, like if you go back to this whole Rekt guy NFT, it was a free mint, right? Like, and just all of the decisions that they've made from day one leading up to this, I don't think they ever expected to build a brand or beverage drink. Like, I don't think that's how they went into it. but the decisions that they've made since that initial decision just shows so much of like their character and what they represent. And to your point, saying like we need to champion more of these, like I could not agree more. Is like we need to spend more time talking about these kind of people, these kinds of decisions, and this kind of leadership, because it really is like, it's so impressive to me. And I'll throw it all the way back to like their first NFT NYC. Everyone went to NFT and what NYC was trying to have these big events with lines out the door and all this. Rekt Guy did their event at the box. And anyone who lives in like NYC knows the box is like, dude, it's a wild place. And so like for me, it just like has always stood out that every decision they've made is about like the culture, is about, it's just, I don't know. And I'm not even exposed. I don't hold the coin. I don't hold an NFT, but I'm just so impressed. And I've loved the fact that Cap, you've kind of taken a stance on really shouting them out, because I feel like as a space, we all owe it, because they are actually representing us on such a high level. And it's so impressive to see. So
well said. No, 100% agreed. And yeah, even if you're not into carbonated beverages, even if you're not into the Rekt brand, if you enjoy this space, if you're aligned with a lot of the things we've talked about as how this could push, things forward and really enhance a lot of existing stuff. If you think this like on-chain loyalty programs might have actual some traction and might be a viable solution for other business, like these are the stories we need to be talking about. This like, and it could be even simply, even if you're not going to buy the OpenSea drop, fine. Like the C-Rekt, is that what they're calling it?
I didn't actually see, but I will definitely be buying that one because
shipwrecked is what they're calling it. And it's my post out over the weekend is like, we don't know like even the cost, what it's going to be. My post on Saturday was like, this is probably the closest thing to a no-brainer purchase we've seen this cycle. Reason being is you're going to get drank points, which so far their drops have been like, I don't know the exact figures, but I'm pretty sure everyone who purchased anything so far, they've got more in loyalty rewards than what they outlaid in USD. I believe. Don't hold me to that. Maybe I'm off slightly, but you're going to get drank points, which should convert to Rekt. You're going to get abstract XP, which will lead to abstract token. You're going to get XP from OpenSea, which should lead to a C token. It's like one of these few opportunities where you potentially could get 3 rewards in one. Now, hey, maybe there's a scenario you go spend $100, and after all those rewards, after TGE, you got 30 cents in rewards. I don't think that's going to be the case. Maybe not. Like, there's no guarantee, but
correct me if I'm wrong. You're also like, you own a certificate, right? You were part of that, where you're an owner of the Rekt Brands as well, which is also like, not saying that you're going to necessarily get a dividend from this, but just the fact that we're watching a brand develop with a community behind it, and you are actually an owner in that stake too, and they didn't have to do that.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like it shows their intention and like the way that they value their community, and that is huge to me.
This isn't even a hyperbole. I believe what I know now, what I've seen since 2021, Rekt Drinks, Rekt Brands, it's the closest to a true, authentic, crypto native Web3 brand that's doing all the things right. That like got me personally excited when I came into this space. You mentioned like the equity component. They didn't have to do that. I don't expect all brands to do that. I know they can't promote that or market that to sell their NFT or sell their token. Like, it's got to be a after the fact surprise. At least today's, it's got to be a gift based on today's, laws and regulations. If someone else is considering launching a brand on chain and it involves a real world product, if you do these things that Rekt Drinks is doing, you'll have a fan in me. Like, you'll have a supporter in me. Part of why I'm getting so excited and so passionate about this is we've seen so few people go this route. I count 3. Rekt Drinks is by far the best, but we mentioned we'll give Pawns a shout out with Plague. They've at least gifted the equity. They haven't hit the actual real world product yet, but they've at least attempted to go this path. Same thing with Truth Labs. They've attempted to go this path. It's just that, that's another one that's got another gaming product coming on, real world product that has real world users. So it's like, I don't want to short any of these that have done this. It's just like, of the tens of thousands of NFT projects that launched in 2021, 3 of them have went this route and have still been relevant in the news. Like, I know there's others. I think of our friend like Drew Barman from Rick House DAO. salute, big fan, love what he did as well. It's just the reality is that it doesn't have the mind share. It wasn't a 10,000 PFP collection. So like in terms of like a lot of the stuff that got us excited, and this also, I'm not like taking shots at Pudgy's or Luca. Like what he's done is great as well. But the reality is none of those Pudgy Penguins have equity in Igloo. Like if like, again, I know you can't sell that. I know you can't market your drop as, oh, you're going to get equity if you buy this thing. I just personally, I thought we'd see a lot more of this. And that is like what you just described, Mason, I think is what gets me so excited about Rekt Drinks and Rekt Brands. Isn't just about Rekt Drinks and Rekt Brands. I think this is potentially a very real playbook that we'll see a lot of other people execute. And just as earlier, we're talking about like loyalty programs onboarding the end user. This sort of stuff, I think, is going to onboard a lot of entrepreneurs into crypto and Web3. Like we talk about how stable coins is the best utility today of crypto blockchain tech. I think loyalty programs could be a close second. It's just we haven't seen the final product yet. I think we're getting close. And again, it's people like Steve and Bunchu that put a lot of time and energy in this as well in the early days of Starbucks. And hey, sometimes you have second mover advantages, right? Sometimes you could see those that came before, and for whatever reason, sometimes it's changes in the C-suite at a Fortune 500 that no one saw coming. Other times it's something didn't work. Well, you learn from that, you build it. Like I'm getting really excited about the type of business they're building, Steve, and it has nothing to do with drinks.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about the fact that we're clamoring for mass adoption. We're clamoring for people to get new entrants to the space and reach a consumer outside of our corner of the internet. And you have a Rekt Brands, or again, you have a 90cc, which is they know what they are. They're very thoughtful about that. Rekt Brands knows who they are. They're very thoughtful about that. And we should be championing these brands more. We should be talking about these brands more because they're pushing the envelope on those things. Like you mentioned the equity thing they didn't have to do. It's a great example. You mentioned the way they're running a loyalty program. You mentioned their partnership.
For a second, like I have zero expectations of ever getting a dividend with that equity stake. I don't even know. Like I think it's a few hundred shares, maybe I don't even know like what the percent. It's like I'm sure it's like 0.000000001%, something like that. I don't even care. Like I have zero expectations a day. But could you just imagine like the best case scenario? Just for a second, imagine that was a stake in Red Bull in their first year of existence. Imagine that was a stake in Liquid Death in its first year of existence. I do not have this expectation that my little stake or my few shares is going to turn into massive dividend or an asset that's worth tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars someday. But I'm pretty sure that if I had the same equity stake in Red Bull or Liquid Death in their first year, it's probably worth millions of dollars today. If I'm going to guess, like I don't know the exact valuation, but like there is a scenario where like this becomes significant financial windfall for the early supporters of these brands. It might be decades in the making. That's what got me so excited about this space early on. I really thought we'd start seeing more of like this Kickstarter type environment where NFTs created a fundraising mechanism and it brought the community along. And again, I won't keep litigating regulations and whatnot, but we've seen individuals now that there is a way to do it, right? Like no one knew in 2021 the best way to do this. Now we've seen individuals who have done it. Now there's a playbook you can follow. You can add your own special sauce to. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overly optimistic about this, but it's getting me pretty exciting.
No, these are pioneers. These are pioneers that we're seeing who are doing this. These are people who are making, you've got Dort here. OSF spent like 9 months building this the right way, going by the book. Now the type of environment to build in Web3 seems more lenient. Do we see more of these? I say and hope yes. And I agree. Like at some point, just looking at not the crowd we have here, but the crowd outside of it. But yes, these are early pioneers, people who are trying things, knowing that there is a risk associated with it, knowing they could potentially get it wrong, but they're doing it anyway. What's interesting about this is like, one of the reasons I've heard people say things like, oh, well, here's why it doesn't is there's no financial incentive compared to the other things. I don't know, man. Like 3 months ago, market cap of, 13, whatever, I guess it's 20 there or whatever. But like, a couple of months ago, market cap of 15 million, right? If you're looking at March 14th on the Rekt coin. Currently, market cap of 124 million. 15 million to 121 million, 125 million is a large jump. That's going to be more than get your Pengu. That's going to be more than your Bitcoin. Like that level of astronomical growth in a now, normally when you see something like that, it's a meme coin that had a little bit of a hype cycle. This is a coin that is tied to this entire brand. And so it's just kind of shocking when you think about it that way, when it's like, a lot of times the reason why people say, well, you don't recognize this because like I've heard like we've had like our guy Joey Val's on this stage a lot. And he's like, look, I would buy equity. And I don't think he feels this way anymore, but he used to say I would buy equity in doodles if I could. I don't think I want to buy a doodle because I don't know what that means for the price versus like the actual thing they're building when he was really excited about everything they were putting on. And I think that was a common thing we heard about a lot of these brands where it was like, yeah, I don't want to buy I want to buy equity in the company. I don't want to buy the NFT because I don't see how that does a value for the NFT, which is like a fair reason. It's like it's a collectible. And if it doesn't have utility that you want to use, why are you buying it? I think this is one of those ones where it's like you do get equity actually in Rekt Brands, or you did get equity in Rekt Brands. And oh, by the way, like you're getting sort of things that come along with it that are financially tied. So that's why it's interesting that there's a financial incentive. There's a real world business. There is a OG builder. I don't know what doesn't get people going about this particular brand. Meanwhile, and we'll get into it in a little bit, something called Loud has more than the next 5 mind shares combined on Kaito with no docs, no playbook, no website, no idea of what the product is. And yet here we are trying to get people to talk about Rekt, and we're part of the problem. Like we're fixing it.
So someone, I apologize, I'm not giving you proper credit. Someone, tell me in the chats, I believe you're here. Might have been Door. Someone mentioned about the way Rekt is building this brand, the way they're capturing attention is stickier and more sustainable than the Kaito short-lived attention that these protocols are getting by going that route. Thoughts on that?
I'm actually a little bit.
Can you win? Can you capture attention if you don't go the Kaito route when it appears that InfoFi has taken over the timeline? I'd say yes. We're seeing it with Rekt Guy. It's more challenging. So let me ask you that. Let me rephrase this question. How is Rekt competing? How do you capture attention if you're not going to pay the piper and cut the $100,000 check to Kaito to get the attention-fi attention?
Well, they need to play the long game. I'm sure they're relatively well capitalized, is my guess. I know OSF's done well for himself and all that. I think we over-index on Kaito. By the way, so I've heard people saying Kaito recently. So tell me if it's Kaito or Kaito. I've been saying Kaito. To me, Kaito is a guy who rips your heart out in Mortal Kombat. Kaito is a leaderboard. But I think it's always possible to go a different route. I think it depends on what your goals are. So it's like, I don't want to knock it and kind of say it's like an either or decision. Because like, I think the thing with Kaito that we'll discuss is like the trick. You got to realize there's a lot of people who are going to talk about your product until you have a TGE and then they're not going to anymore. That's just how it's going to be. And the funny part is we all know the accounts who are going to do so, right? And some of them will like the product and use it, which is great, but a lot of them will use it and then they'll check out. And I think it just depends on your goals and how I think one of the things that Kaito's done is it shows, like, I think it's a tool in the toolbox of what your marketing plan is. Do you want to capture lightning in a bottle attention? Or do you want to build slower with a legitimate community, knowing it's going to be a little bit more of a slow build, but the opportunity is, maybe a little bit in the long run to build those true fans. But I don't think it's an either or. I think you can do it right now. I just think Kaito is the speed run that if you have a 6-figure marketing budget set aside and some token, and look, Brad made the case last week. Brad made the case strongly last week. He made the case where he was like, look, like we have to distribute tokens at some point. Obviously we have our fluffles, but like, why wouldn't we use Kaito? We have to distribute tokens at some point. So yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I have to think of my perspective on that, but I don't think it's like an either or. I think it's like, depends on what your goals are. Like, I think Bread, for example, is thinking about it strategically. Who's talking about Mega ETH? Who's using it? Cool, we have to distribute some tokens. I don't know that everybody thinks about it that strategically. I think there are a lot of people who maybe don't. So I don't know. But let's do this. Let's hit a couple more hands, and then we could always flip around the horn to some other topics. I have some thoughts on that. Snowflake will get you back in here, then Mason, and then I want to talk a little more Kaito. Snowflake, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, 3 points. Really great mention. Interaction between real world scenarios, applications, and digital. Wherever it's like directly NFT related or any kind of token, that royalty token or something like this. Like building it in real world scenarios with real product, it's not easy. So when you see that this comes from this mentality, hey, we're actually doing this, and then we're implementing all this digital, you see like the real builders for real products, like versus those who launch some projects, some ideas, get some funding, and after trying to see if it works, and 99%, like maybe even more, it doesn't. And it's end up being like called drag or other things. Sometimes it's just poor rag, but sometimes it's not. They just don't have experience. They really don't know how integrate a digital identity into the products. But even like when you only try to integrate the NFT into the some real product, that's already great. That's already some kind of interaction. Now you need to think, how can you go back and forth between the customer and your products, right? Like, so implementation of any kind of tokenization with rewards, that's great. Or some kind of like implementation that gives you access to something, sort of like become a part of the club, was very low need to input into this product, like in a digital token. So even if you like don't drink something or don't use something, like think about, hey, do you want it as a collectible, or do you want it to be like entrance to somewhere, right? And like when you think about all the creators that don't want to do like physical product but have like digital fashion or something else, think about who can you connect, think about who you can interact with to launch maybe some collection, maybe some addition with the real like physical product. Like it can be beer, it can be coffee, and people have been doing this, just as a sidekick, even not like a main business. And I feel it's great. And it's very respectful, like people really working hard, people really want to do some maybe side hustle besides their main job. And like I really respect them to, do these integrations and seeking connections for like IRL things. The second thing about X, think about all your followers, think about all your connections, and try to connect them on other platforms, because definitely we don't know where the X is going. Maybe the same place where Tesla is going. I don't know. But yeah, there's so many backlash, and I guess all those updates that don't work for people. Like really try to connect with people on other platforms, try to meet them in person, try to get those connections so you don't lose them in case like the X just go nuts on us even more and we don't see each other posts, and they just try to divide us or sell us something that we don't need.
I'm paying for the platform. I'm paying all this
around Miami or here like this on next week. Let me know if I have any like extra invites for any of the events. If you're digital creator for digital fashion, like influencer, the building something interesting, or even like a model, some events I can invite you. Let me know. All right.
Right on. No, right on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, right on. And I think like the thing with X is it's crazy. The crazy part about X is we pay for this product now. And we pay for this product and we are getting like
I think Mayhem figured it out.
We get direct.
I think Mayhem figured it out, Steve. He says you can tell that Elon is back at X. He said when he was consumed with Doge, X just worked flawlessly. Now he's back in tinkering. I think this is actually probably right. Like there was rumors that there's going to be a new DM app or DM tab, or basically DMs are going to be separated from group chat, which I'm all for. Something is absolutely changing. So maybe there is just some more tinkering behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Hopefully get it resolved soon. Stop tinkering, Elon. Go back to trying to fix the world and leave us alone here on X.
I mean, this is the thing about Elon that like both makes him successful but can like drive you nuts as a user of a product, is like he is unbothered by the fact, like he thinks it's funny that like, his app is down. He probably thinks it's funny if his app is down and people are like, oh, my X is down. It's like, and so I just think that there's, Yeah, like that's like crazy when you think about this product and the fact that like think about any product you pay as much as you pay for X for. Like imagine if your YouTube TV, if you use that or something like that, just was working on and off for a full week, or your internet was working on and off for a full week, or your cell phone service was working on and off for a week. You'd be living. It's like the same sort of pricing on the product. So that's why it's crazy to think about. But I know we got a couple more hands, I think, anyway, because X isn't showing me the hands. Again, any love on the room for like and retweets if you made it here. Congrats on getting through the dark forest of X at the moment. That is not, has no guiding light. It is not working very well, but hopefully it'll be back tomorrow. But give us a like, retweet, a comment on the room, and we'll try to do those. I've tried to go through comments. Says there's 30. I think there was more. Couldn't get through all of them. Let's do this. Let's go Captain Dad Pants, and we'll go back to Mason after that. I think you both have your hand up, but it's not showing on my screen, so let's give it a try. Captain Dad Pants, GM.
Appreciate it, guys. Good morning. Quick note, the Kaito technology is really interesting, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on how this might be used in the future for like Web2 brands. It's kind of like a little ambassador program almost for companies and people to go and kind of get paid for posting, but I'm not sure what the product as is. You know, like Web2 brands are going to want to come in and just have crypto nerds tweet out and blast for pennies and stuff. But I think if this platform can, or any technology can kind of evolve into creating audiences of everyone that's using their platform. So if like Nike is coming and launching a basketball shoe, they could use Kaito and leverage all of the basketball users and people that are posting about basketball content. And so it's not just like waste into the abyss, because the internet is huge. And so you want to kind of have niche targeting and make sure that your message is reaching the audience that it's directed towards.
I think that there's like yes and no. So here's my thing. I think Kaito as a idea makes a lot of sense. Idea make a lot of sense, right? It's like if you reward your users through something like that, there's NFT loyalty programs that tend to make sense. I think the thing with Kaito that's tough about the product is if you talk about Kaito to people outside of Web3 and explain it, they're going to be like, so what's the point of the tokens? They're just handing you money. So those are just like tokens. What backs that? What makes that token worth anything? Oh, it's a governance token. They're like, okay, like, so you are getting thousands of dollars that lets you vote in something? Well, no, I sell it after I get it. It's like, so who are you selling it to? It's like, well, somebody who thinks that it's going to be higher than when I got it. It's like, this is the actual sort of discussion you have to have. So I think Kaito has to evolve if it's going to be a product that they're going to be able to actually, because I think people have this idea that like, it's very simple, like point A to point B, or point A to from A to Z on this one, where it's like, oh, it goes from like this product that's InfoFi and then it'll be used by the masses. And it's like, yeah, but if you're selling it to Nike or whoever, then it's like, you have to explain that the whole premise of it is it just people talk about your brand based on your job. Because like, this is my problem that I ran into and why I ran into, and by the way, I think it's a great marketing product in Web3. The issue that I ran into with Kaito is that I don't think that it is true InfoFi as much as it's a marketing tool. Like, yes, there's going to be some info in there. I get it. It is messy data, and it's what you do to get people talking about your brand versus what you're talking about, which I actually wholeheartedly agree with, is there is value, but there are ways to look for mindshare right now without using something like Kaito. I do think that NFTs as a loyalty system are a far better solution, at least at the moment, than something like a Kaito, because I do think of it as like, it's a marketing tool. And like, likewise, in theory, I suppose you could be like, hey, if you're an up and coming shoe company, you can weigh your shoes to, people who help promote up your brand. And that's like, there's probably something to be said about that. And maybe you can do that. I don't think you need a Kaito for that. I think Kaito is just a strong marketing tool for Web3 brands to drop token. But I think like, if you're asking me if I'm a brand, a basketball shoe brand or a current established brand, Starbucks, Nike, those sorts of ones who have been in Web3 in some capacity or ones that come into Web3, I think an NFT loyalty program is far superior to use the blockchain to track that. Better than a database. You could track achievements. Again, I talk about like, if Delta wants to know their best customers, it's like they could, they have like their Sky Miles program, but they could have people who engage with them in ways beyond buying tickets. They could drop sort of these POAP-like things for going for vacations. And they could that's going to give you a far better customer profile than a Kaito leaderboard for a company like a Nike or something. So like that's where I think like we missed the mark. Go ahead, Captain.
I don't want to like push back too far, more just to have a conversation around it, because I really don't know. I see where you're coming from. I agree it's more marketing than it is InfoFi. However, I do think there's a lot more than meets the eye with Kaito, and I think there's more coming. Excuse me. For instance, you mentioned this Stay Loud. You realize this is powered by Kaito. I don't know what that means, but they're basically building on top of Kaito. So now we have one of the third party dApps building on top of Kaito, powered by Kaito, and it's already ascended to the #1 mind share very quickly. I don't know what Stay Loud is yet. I have no idea what powered by Kaito even means. I'm near certain that what we see Kaito today is not all that's coming. Like, do you know what Stay Loud is, or can you explain what powered by Kaito even means? Muted, unless it's just on my end.
Nope, it's on my end. Let's actually get Mason in real quick before I answer that question, because I know Mason's been waiting for a hot minute, and then I promise I will answer that.
I feel bad because my is going to go back to beverages and stuff, not Kaito. So I can hold it if you want, but I just kind of like I wanted to find out like what was the marketing budget for like Red Bull like first year. Like I'm just curious, and like while I was doing that, I found some interesting things. Like first of all, I didn't realize Red Bull came out in 1987, which is wild to me. But for their first 5 years, their marketing budget was between 700,000 and 1.4 million. Right? They only sold in Austria for the first like 3 years, and if you look at like the way their marketing budget like started to expand. Rekt Drinks has already said that they have $50 million in marketing, like stashed away for kind of what they're doing. And you think about like their distribution, they're already in multiple countries. They're shipping this stuff internationally. You look at like the trajectory of something like Red Bull, which had the same issue of like trying to break into a beverage industry. And I'm reading here, their big stunt was they were going on college campuses, leaving empty cans everywhere. And that was their basically stunt where people were like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, what is this? And people started buying the hell out of it. And so it's just interesting to me when you start to look at Rekt Brands, you start to look at the power of Web3, you start to look at how many people you have involved. Red Bull used the same playbook. They used young people to go out and get this to be the cool thing. And I think that's exactly what Rekt Brands is doing.
They're just doing it better. They are. They're doing the same model, just doing it better, using the new technology. And here's one thing I like, even though they're doing it better, I think I love the story. I think it is important to drill home, to repeat what you said. Red Bull was founded in 1987. 1987. You know when I first drank a Red Bull? 1999, 12 years later, and Red Bull Jaeger bombs became a thing. Like Red Bull exploded on the scene at Ohio State's campus in like 1999, 2000. I never heard of it before that. 12 years to even hear about it. So when we start getting excited about these brand new startups that we love, just put that in perspective. It took me 12 years before I even ever heard of Red Bull. So if you have a normie friend who's heard of Pudgy Penguins, that's insane. If you have a normie friend who's heard of Rekt Drinks, that's incredible. Like the path, the trajectory they're on is unlike things that came before them. And I do believe what's happening on chain, what's happening in crypto, I do believe it can add some fuel to this fire. Like you talk about that marketing budget. Like we've been talking about giving them credit for Rekt, like the token about the loyalty rewards program and Drank points converting direct and how that's the way. We haven't even mentioned the marketing budget, Steve. Like they didn't just go out and raise $50 million of VC funds to get this marketing budget. That's the token. That's doing things correctly. It's not launching a token and with no substance. It took them time, took them a while to build. And now because of the success and the momentum, now they have a $50 million marketing budget.
But mind you, Red Bull didn't even have a $50 million marketing budget until year 7. And they were only in 2 countries at that point.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. And I think your point, like, I mean, here's an answer about the Kaito thing, by the way, and we'll get deep into it. Like, because I think actually this ties in, because like you're talking about the marketing budget. If they got 6 figures to spend and they want to do a Kaito leaderboard, like here's why that actually does potentially like they have a token they can distribute. So they have that thing, that methodology they're looking for. And they actually have a real product that they can drive with it. So it's like, in theory, they probably don't need it, but they could use it for an actual boost in marketing to sort of up level them. Because I do like, I think that that's what's going to be interesting to see if they do continue to unfold. The other thing about the brand is like, Rekt is a cool name. It's got a cool logo. It's got a very, like, it has actual legs to move. And I'm sad for myself that I took so long to actually pay attention to this brand. And I still don't know as much as I should, which is why I'm actually intentionally not learning at this point, because I know we're going to get Ovi on the show at some point to talk about it. But it's a real brand building a real product. So it's exciting. And when you think about it and make that comp to Red Bull and other brands, like legacy brands, it's a different ball game to sort of speed run the build. And it's like, I think a lot of our comparisons that we've done is we always say like, oh my God, like Bored Ape Yacht Club raised this much as the best startup of all time. But it's like, we don't necessarily do comparisons of people who offer a product like this very often. So I think it's a great one that Mason went back and did a little research on to compare like, hey, where they're at. And seems like they're on a pretty good trajectory. I am blanking on the question you asked me about Kaito specifically, because, it's been a week and my brain's not functioning.
What does it even mean to be powered by Kaito, being built on top of Kaito? Like, I think we're going to see, I do not think we've seen the in form of Kaito. And what I mean by that is more than just little features added here and there. I think I agree with you that it's more marketing-fi than it is info-fi. I just don't think it's the final end state. So my question was about Loud or Loudio or Stay Loud. What is it, first of all? And what does it even mean to be powered by Kaito?
Yeah, well, one, nobody knows. It's provocative. But like, you could see like, I put this up. So people missed it. I dropped this morning, and with X being non-existent, it's not super out there. But, I put with the rise of, Loud, it's Stay Loudio is their which is, again, like, we are not serious people. It goes with the rise of Stay Loudio on Kaito leaderboard. The rise shows, I might have a typo in there, shows how powerful Kaito is at shaping narrative. If anybody's curious if I use ChatGPT, I always have typos. Loud might be great, but with no site, no docs, and no clear product, and I put yet, of course, because who knows, could be an awesome product. It's dominating the pre-TGE convo. More mind share than the next 5 combined. So the next 5 things on the leaderboard, things like Somnia and Open Ledger and, Infinex, which are all the talk of the town, it is dominating those. And here we are, having this conversation about Loud without anybody knowing what it is. And it's kind of, and by the way, like I was saying this in the replies to a couple of people. I feel like they probably seeded with some influencers just because the people talking about it first kind of start the little seeding of it and like, hey, this is on the leaderboard, pay attention. I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it might not be the final form. I also need to see like what they're doing to get to the point. Like, let me ask you this. Like, how do you make this useful? And by the way, if people are like, jumping up and they have hands up, do us a favor and just keep waving some emojis, because we don't know if there are hands up because spaces are busted right now. So if you're on stage and you want to get back in, we just need some emoji waving. I know Mackey's trying to get on stage here as well, but Cap, what do you think? Where do you think it goes then? Like, if you're like, hey, this isn't the final form of Kaito, like, what do you think it goes that gets it from the point of like, we're distributing tokens? Like because the sequence as I explained it, if I explain Kaito to someone right now, if I go to, my kids slept over someone's house last night because they didn't have school. If I go to the parents and I'm like, yes, there's this thing called Kaito. They're like, what does it do? Well, it gives you money based on talking about things. Oh, well, they just hand you money? Sure, yeah, they're tokens. Again, like, why do you get the tokens? Governance. So you govern this thing? No, I sell them for money. Well, who buys them and why do they buy them? So they want to go up more. It's like, and then people then use the product. Well, no, not always. They mostly don't use the product. They just talk about it and they get a bunch of money before and then they leave. So I guess like, and by the way, we are trying to bring the people up the stage who are kind of doing our best here. We just don't know. We just don't know how to get it up there. X is being glitchy. I don't know, Cap. Like, what do you think the final form is?
I don't know. I really, truly don't know what the final form is going to be. I just don't think that we've seen it yet. And I don't know what powered by Kaito means. Maybe it's just they've partnered with them. Maybe it's a new kind of partnership that they're doing instead of just stroking Kaito six-figure check every month. Like this is some deal where they're getting some sort of allocation of the Clout token. And I really don't know. Maybe it's just Kaito is going to help pump it. And that's what means powered by Kaito. I'm sensing it's probably something different. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what comes of Stay Loud. I'm curious to see more powered by or building on top of Kaito, because I'm inferring that it's more than just using the Kaito data. Like there's something more there. We just haven't been explained to us yet. And yeah, maybe I do think that to play the other side of it, I understand, like, yeah, what like you even asked, like, should I buy Kaito? What should I do with it? Is it worth staking? I think there's more substance to this token than most. So I hear you about like normie friends. What am I gonna do with it? Will I buy it? Well, maybe someone else is gonna buy it in the future and just speculate. That's where I think I would push back, is like they already do grant you access to things that you can't get without staking the token. May not be valuable to everyone, but for some it certainly is. You've got some that are paying $1,000 a month out of pocket just to get access to this dashboard and not even utilize Kaito as a marketing mechanism. So like there's definitely something there that it's not going to be for everyone, but there is actual real utility to this token that people are buying the token to get access to. And now most of that stuff doesn't end well. Most of that stuff is, the token runs up in price and they're paying far too much than what it's actually worth or what it's actually valued at. From all the stuff we've seen in this space with quote unquote tokens that are only used to speculate price go up, I think there's, like, just to be fair to Kaito, like, I do think they're building with some intent here. I would love to have you on and talk about it in great detail if he'd respond to one of my DMs.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would love to have that conversation too, because I'm struggling with the like again, like to your point, like in our ecosystem, the token does more. I think I that's the other thing, is like I can never get clear answer to people. I'm like, how much Kaito should they buy? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, so I stake it. What do I get? They're like, I don't know. Maybe you get some airdrops potentially. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like,
you definitely get airdrops. That we know.
So if I have stake Kaito, I would just get airdrops. Is
yes.
What'll happen. All right.
I mean, maybe not every airdrop, but you would get some. What I don't know is initially you got a little badge if you stake 75% of nice. I'm ranked 420 on the Kaito leaderboard. Nice. I'd rather be 69 than 420, but 420 is better than 419. I don't know. So like I have a little badge because I staked 75% of the Kaito I received in my initial airdrop. What I don't know is if you were to go back and now stake 75% of what you once got at the initial airdrop, I don't know if you still get the badge or not. I'm getting 10.86% APR. And it allows me to go vote on other pre-TGE stuff. Like, I'm not using Kaito to the fullest extent. I'm not paying $1,000 a month. I don't have access to any of the dashboards. But there are some smart people that I respect that use Kaito, very much so, and they say that the data is worth it. So I don't know. Maybe I suck it up and pay the $1,000 a month just to see what's behind the paywall. But there are people who I respect that say it's worthwhile. So I will take them at face value for now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious, like, what the use case is when they say that, where it's like, again, like, I want to be clear, like, I see the value in our ecosystem. I'm just curious how it expands outside of it. And like, I'm not saying it won't. It's just, I'm curious the steps we get to the point of it being outside of our ecosystem, where I can make a logical case that a small brand should say, I'm going to give you this much money, and not, because I wonder, is there a world where Kaito works because it's the thing that scaled? And I'll get into some other things about dilution and what's going on with whether it's Quacks or whether it's Cookie or anything else, because we now have at least 3 of these things. But like, I guess what I'm figuring out here is like for instance, Zier just posted 8 minutes ago. He just started staking Kaito and he's getting his first drop Huma. No idea if it's worth, if it'll hodl it. But it's like staked Kaito is becoming a very good, if not the best, milk this cycle in terms of a cow this cycle, a milk producing cow. Yes, and I guess that's what I'm saying, is like, what I'm trying to figure out is like, if so remember when the Utes list came out and like everyone was like, oh my God, we're going to sell this. It's software as technology. I'm like, you made a Google sheet, like with a little bit of code behind it. I don't know that there aren't social monitoring tools for less money that people could use to distribute things without having to go through Kaito. I think Kaito just has attention in our space. So that's where I'm curious, like, what's it going to build on top of that's going to make it different, right? Like, what's it going to do and how is it going to use the tech to make it a different type of product? Because it's like, I bet you that somebody in a hackathon could go, like, there's a reason why there's already 2 competitors here in a very short order, is because I don't think it's a super hard thing to build on top of. It's like POAP is a great product. It's not hard to build. And I mean, we got 400 plus NFTs minted when we did our, ApeCon. Like, that's POAP. Like, so it's just, I don't know that Kaito has this moat unless, and that's why I want to see what the moat is outside of like first mover advantage and attention in the crypto space. But like, is it just going to be the latest, like this is up and this goes down? Mackie, saw your hand flap. Go ahead and get in here. GM, glad we were able to get you on stage.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's nice to be back. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been talking, but I've taken some time this weekend to dive back into talking on Spaces. I missed it, honestly. So it's nice to be back. Kaito stuff, the Kaito, like what I'm calling Kaito L2s, stuff that are built on top of Kaito, right? It's a social L2 at this point. It is, despite maybe us not feeling like it's fully organic, it does feel better than the like, retweet, and tag 3 friends meta that existed so long ago. At least there's that. But I do think that we're going to have this culture here for quite a while. I think the more we build on top of it, the more entrenched it becomes, and literally the top mind share thing is something attached to Kaito at this point, which I have heard is going to be more of a social experiment than like a number go up token.
What does
experience.
What does building on top of Kaito mean to you? What does powered by Kaito mean to you?
What does it mean to me? It means they're either plugging into the API or hopefully an MCP, so AI agents can actually speak to it. I think that probably makes the most sense right now. But I know you said it sounded a little more deep than that.
Well, this is the other thing where I think Kaito is powerful. I think it's beyond TGEs. I said last week, I think it's, if you're hiring in crypto and Web3, you'd be far better off to look at Kaito and Ethos than you would be LinkedIn. Maybe not for
real talk.
Kaito's better than LinkedIn for Web3 hires. And not only that, how do we think, like, I'll give you, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm near certain that I'm right. How in the world do we think that Stay Loud just launched and already has, like, I don't know if we've ever seen this percentage.
I think it was seeded. I think it was seeded with people. I think they had
7% mindshare. How did that happen?
Because I think it was seeded. I think
the
it was
other way is the founder, Ultra, they're a top yapper. Like,
yeah, it does feel incestuous now, but it could be a really powerful feedback.
I mean,
it's acting out too.
Yeah,
that's like the innocent way of seeing it.
Yeah, Ultra's like a, I don't know, top 10 yapper. Like today, they're number 2. If you look at the last month, but in the last week, I'm sure number 1 in the last week, 3% mind share in the last. Let's see how far I can go back here. Last 3 months, number 2. So like quite literally, one of the top yappers over the last quarter, if not the top yapper. They launch a protocol. Now, yes, probably it was seeded. Maybe that's what powered by Kaito means. I
also don't know that what you just described is good. Like that sounds a lot like influencers.
I agree with you, but it's not going to be the last time we're going to see it. I can almost guarantee you that. Like, go look at this leaderboard, and I could almost, like, if I have no idea who ALUCARD, no idea who they are. If they drop a protocol, if they drop a dApp, it's probably flying up to the top of the leaderboards on Kaito. Good or bad.
Their name is a reference to Castlevania, by the way. Alucard, it's Dracula backwards.
I don't know that I don't know that I like that meta, number 1. I would say number 2, I would push back on the concept of, like, okay, so I saw this tweet from ICO Beast over the weekend where ICO Beast basically described ICO Beast and said, if you're relevant in crypto Twitter, you have these things that I have, like, which are like, he's like, top yapper, good ethos score. It's like, oh, Yeah, but a good ethos score meant you got an invite. It meant that you were an influencer early on that people did. A lot of people were insiders who did that and investors. And he's like, a fantasy top card. Well, yeah, but some of us actually didn't want fantasy top cards because it was securitizing yourself at a time when it was more dangerous to do so. And it might have worked out in the wrong one, but that's like playing the results, which isn't exactly the way that all people like to do things. It's not that you saw it coming. It's that you were fast and loose and you got lucky how it worked out. And so he described all these things. I don't actually agree with that. Like, I actually think that, like, yes, having a good ethos score is a good directional indicator. Sure, being a top yapper says that you have some attention. The fantasy tops card thing, I'm just going to completely throw off the table because there's a lot of reasons why I think a lot of people don't even want a fantasy top card. But I don't know that I agree with that. Like, you mentioned if you're hiring someone. So if I'm Somnia, sure, like I could hire someone, but I also could sit. I have a feeling that I'm probably able to find those people without using Kaito if I'm going to hire someone. Like, I have a feeling that you would probably find them. Now, might it be a tool and might it work out? Sure. But like, Starbucks Odyssey didn't have a Kaito leaderboard. I knew who our top community members were through Discord activity, through X activity, through things that I followed, through how they had activity on the blockchain. I don't need Kaito for that. And so, yes, it can be a tool for that. I think all of these are good directional data points to think about, but I don't think that it's like necessarily like, oh my God, like you're going to use Kaito to find your hires and your top fans all the time. Because I think a lot of it is you have a lot of noise. I don't think it's super clean data. Now, again, I think it's a great tool. I think it's a great way to get people talking about you. I think it's a great way to potentially do TGEs. I think it's a great way to distribute TGEs if you have to. I think it'll be interesting to see how people use it in that way. Now, again, if it helps people speed run it, if that's worth the, six-figure, paycheck for them, great. I just don't know if that's the case. Let's do this. I want to talk because I actually don't think Kaito's as new as we think. I got a little creative with the more you know this morning, so we'll see what happens here.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the more you know, brought to you by ENS. And look, we're talking about a little Kaito hype marketing. There are marketing tools, and then there are hype machines. Platforms so powerful, they don't just influence perception, they move markets. Remember the OpenSea leaderboard? It didn't just crown top NFT projects. It minted millionaires and even got one of their own employees, Nate Chastain, put into jail for insider trading. Today at Kaito, pre-token TGE leaderboard, we've been talking about all morning, where nobody even knows what Loud even does, but it's dominating mindshare more than working projects at the moment, like we talked about with Rekt and some others. Coinbase listings, they still sometimes send coins vertical. The Coinbase effect is real. Same for Binance. Hey, remember the Coinbase NFT marketplace? Everything cooked when it hit the Coinbase NFT marketplace before it launched. Blur points turned traders into degens, and Pump Fund turned meme coin leaderboards into launch pads for viral, short-lived brands. It's not just about the tech, it's about who owns the narrative. And in crypto, the narrative is often very tied deeply to the product. And that was the more you know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring it across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains to secure your ENS domain today. So I don't know. I just wanted to put out there the concept that, like, we've seen hype marketing before. This is a powerful tool in that way, but I don't know that it's an end-all be-all, and I'm curious the direction they go. I'm not saying it's not, but I think sometimes people talk a lot more favorably about something when it's putting money in their pocket.
Oh, sure. No, I agree. I just think it's part of the flywheel, though. I think it's not the end-all be-all. It's not sticky. But I definitely can capture attention and get momentum started. Whether they advance or not, to be determined. It's like part of why these Rekt drink drops are so exciting is it's putting money in people's pockets. Now, is it going to become a household brand if that's all they do? No, but it sure as hell helps creating momentum and getting attention and competing in a competitive market like the drink business, right? Like, I don't think there's any world, I shouldn't say that. Very low probability of Rekt Drinks hitting 1 million units sold in their first year, if not for leaning into crypto Web3 momentum network effects without going and raising serious venture capital funding. Like I think it was LaSalle mentioned she used to work with Liquid Death, and it's so competitive. You got to basically pay for shelf space in these stores. Like it's hard to enter and entrench. Like, yeah, you see Prime drinks that, you know, came out of nowhere and shot up on the map. It was also created by two of the largest, most prolific streamers on the planet. Like they had probably millions of dollars that they seeded that thing with to go buy a lot of that early shelf space. And to go a organic route, it's very challenging to do. Crypto and in this case, giving out free money for people to become brand ambassadors, it's a cheat code, and not everywhere. And I know we're bouncing back and forth between real world products and something like Loud that we maybe just a purely online social experiment with no product. But I do think it works. It works capturing it, building momentum. I'm not sure it advances it, but it's a shortcut for teams that want to that do have grand plans. I think you can get from 0 to 60 a lot faster by leaning into this stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think that for sure there's like the opportunity to lean into it like that. And I think, I don't know. I'm just like, man, what are your thoughts on like it getting watered down though? Because like that's the other thing. It's like
already is watered down. In my opinion. Go to the Kaito leaderboard right now. I'll share it on the screen. Like it's overwhelming to me. Like part of the reason when you ask, like, what do I do with my Kaito? Dude, I don't even know. There's so much in here already. This is on Kaito Earn. It's like, where do you even start? I guess pick a few, focus on those. There's a lot here, from data to the stuff you're supposed to be doing. Oh man, I already dropped from 420 to 470 since I've been talking. So bad day. Somehow I lost the yap in the process of the space. I do think it might be a little much as is. Like I don't know what these things are, right? Like I'm in here, I'm using the platform. What does trade mean? What does use mean? So earn from using products across the industry. Build your portfolio and earn while you trade. Okay, so there. Refer people and you can earn. Yap and earn. So this is how you earn, I guess, on each protocol. So it took me a little bit to play around. I don't know what just for me means. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a me problem, not a platform problem. But to your point of getting watered down, it's becoming somewhat complex and confusing for someone who's been using it since launch.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like I see. So there's two things there. There's one, does this product exist outside of Web3? Two, is the platform too confusing for people? Because I get overwhelmed when I go on there. I'm like, I don't even know where to go and what to do. Should I again, like to your point, like I've asked a bunch of people. I'm like, should I be converting some of my existing crypto into Kaito and staking it? Everyone's like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, why? They're like, meh. And that's like, it's like, they're like, well, I think you're going to get some airdrops from staking. So that's going to happen. I'm like, does it help me with yaps? Does it give me a boost? Does it help me with certain leaderboards? And the people are like, I think, yeah, no, they're teasing that a lot's going to happen. So they're playing the hype game there. But I think a lot of people aren't certain about the product. But when I even say watered down, I mean two things. One, are enough people going to go on there to the point where it's like you get to a top yapper leaderboard, but there's such a crazy distribution that like either A, you have to be a crazy creator to get something, or B, you're yapping nonstop and you're getting like $104, which is not nothing, but like for the amount of work you would put in if you actually don't care about the product, which is why you say pick something you care about. But like one, it being watered down in rewards, I think is a problem. But two, we already have Quacks and Cookies. Quacks and Cookie, and it's been less than 6 months, and we have two competitors that people are talking about, and we have major people we have Doodles talking about using Cookie. We have ApeChain using Quacks. Like, the Quacks guy is a Y Combinator guy. Like, so I worry, like, does this market just get watered down to the point where it's sort of like Blur, where it's like, it wasn't a useful effort, like, or even with people on Blast where they were spending a lot of money and the airdrop they were getting was less. Like, do we get to that point with this product?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I am. All I know though is it's got enough tension in mind. Sure, it's not what I want to fade. So I will be participating. I need to be paying more attention, and I I'm intrigued. I hope there's more of the meets the eye. I hope like powered by Kaito means something. I hope there's something there that is like a whole nother unlock for us. I don't know. But I will be I'll be following along. And to your point of like competitors, I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we'll see a lot more. I think there's tiers to this. I don't like Kaito is priced out for a lot of startups, and maybe it's Quacks, maybe it's Cookie that fills in the gap there. They're also like, if you just look at their leaderboards, they're also tracking very different things. Cookie seems to be much more about views and engagement. Kaito actually seems to be a little more deliberate and intentional, and you can't just like you're not gonna run up the Kaito leaderboard as if you say who's active right now and you drop a $, a ticker in the comment. It appears if you would run up the Cookie leaderboard, assuming you have a following and that's the type of posting you do. Like Mario Narful is one of the leading thought leaders on Cookie. Do you think he's the leader in crypto and Web3, or do you think he regurgitates he's an aggregator and puts out a lot of ChatGPT posts? Like, if that's what you want to follow, then Cookie's a good direction for that. You don't see him popping as much on the Kaito leaderboards because I think their algorithms a little more intentful. It's not just about views and impressions, and it seems like Cookie is for that.
So they're intentionally trying to make it how like it was.
I don't know if they're doing it intentionally. That's just how it's. That's what the leaderboards are showing right now.
Got it. Yeah, because I don't know. I have to go back to the Kaito leaderboards. Like, I know that there are some people, like, it's just interesting because I think there are some people who genuinely, I'll give an example, love seeing Grateful Ape, probably inspired to find Somnia because of the leaderboards, got deep into it, top creator on Somnia, collecting rewards, and also deep in, and now is, the founder knows him and all these other, people who dig in deep with him. Like, that's good. So I think that aspect of it is good. So I think there is some potential opportunity there. And if you can get a couple of those, like maybe that's well worth the spend. But yeah, I'm curious about the different algos. Go ahead.
Well, I'll take it back. I just checked now. It appears they've changed it. Cookie must have made some updates because now over the last 7 days, it's actually dim.eth, and he doesn't post the engagement farming view stuff. It's Lambo Land, who's building a new product in the Hyper EVM ecosystem. Ansem, who's always up there, Avi, Board, Vital. Like, so they definitely made some changes. Like last week when I looked at this, and some of these people aren't like, there was a couple people on, I'm not going to single out because there's a couple people that I don't mind. They're not bad people, but they're absolutely engagement farmers. That's how they're growing their reply guy engagement farmers. It was them and Mario on this leaderboard. Now it's actual CT opinion leaders. Yeah, like Zero, I just mentioned, Clemente, Whale, Avi is about the only one I'm not, deeply familiar with. But yeah, this is very different than what it looked like last week. So they probably got some feedback. Is like, hey, no one that's actually in CT views Mario Narwhal as an opinion leader, and they changed it.
I like how you just made him a horned whale. Actually, there real quick, Mario Narwhal. I like that. Mackie, go ahead and get in.
What is his name?
Narwhal, right?
I'm going to call him Narwhal from now on.
I like that.
Mario Narwhal. I did want to say there's another InfoFi platform too. You've got Kaito, you've got Cookie, you've got Quacks. You also have Clout, Fantasy Tops Clout. So if you aren't claiming points there, I guess you have to do that now too, which is kind of annoying, but here we are.
I missed this. I didn't know. So Fantasy Top launched a platform. They're calling it Clout, and it's basically similar. It's their take on InfoFi.
They ask you to tweet every day. If you go to the Fantasy Top page and you log in, there will be something at the top that says like claim your clout. It's like a top banner. That's another spot that you can claim points for who knows what. I am thoroughly lost in the weeds as well, Cap. Like, there's just too much to pay attention to. I feel like I'm going to miss something. Somebody needs to make some kind of like airdrop checker just for InfoFi at this point.
You nailed it. We're entering like mentally anyways. For me, we've just entered where we were in 2021, 2022, where every day I felt like I was missing something in Discord because I was just overwhelmed with announcements and airdrops and claims, and I was losing free money because there was so much going on. I feel like we're getting back in that realm. And not everything's going to be a hit, right? I think that's
correct.
This is like, and this isn't just like, oh, go mint this NFT that's hot today, or go claim this free airdrop. This is like, you really need to be thoughtful and intentful about what you're spending your time researching and talking about, because as more and more things start leaning into these platforms, it's like you could spend the next month talking about something, the airdrop comes and it's 27 cents, and the thing you decided not to talk about would have been 27 grand. That seems extreme. It's not even a hyperbole. Like that's
No, it's not. That's why I've chosen Mega ETH to play with for the foreseeable future, because I have some hype, so I can talk about that. That was already starting to happen. I have my Mega ETH, like my time sunk into the testnet, and I remember reading something that like Clemente said, like just pick a thing and lean in when you find like your passion in it, and that's kind of been my guiding light at this point. And Mega ETH makes me feel passion, so I'm leaning in there and doing my best to like look every once in a while. Like I have like a weekly reminder on my calendar to check like potential Kaito rewards. Not kidding.
Are you getting rewards, Mackie?
Yeah,
Mackie, real quick, two things.
yeah.
Mackie, two things real quick, because I want to ask you questions about this, because I've actually been curious about two things. One, I didn't see Mega ETH on the rewards platform, so it doesn't look like they're distributing anything yet. Do you two questions are, one, do you get anything regularly from Mega ETH based on tweeting about them? And two, do you feel like, I heard somebody talk about how they were like on Polkadot and they were like top 3, and then suddenly the last day they fell out into like, something, and they went from like, I don't know, whatever it is, $500 to like $13 or something like that at the last minute. And like
some speculation. This is the X algo, by the way. Grateful just said something that he was watching the leaderboard and it changed significantly in a matter of seconds. So there may be some X API stuff happening right now that's a little kind of some one-off stuff.
Which again, that's another worry with like a platform risk with these platforms.
Right?
But like,
worried about an audience. Imagine building an entire protocol on this app.
Yeah, like your entire existence is dependent on that man, who thinks it's funny to be like big bowls. It's funny.
Funny.
But which it is funny. It is funny. I'm a child. But Mackie, I guess like, one, are you getting regular rewards? And if not, do you have this feeling where it's like you constantly have to keep up until they do enter that position, and suddenly Whale starts talking about Mega ETH and ICOB starts talking, and I know they've already talked about it a little bit. I'm not saying that they'll jump in, but those people who, because they have fantasy top cards, by the way, this is my other thing about the fantasy top cards I didn't get in, I'm going to digress on for a minute. I think there's a lot of people who like talk about how like, this is what you need to do to grow a following, yada, yada, yada. And they did initially and get those fantasy top cards. I think there's a lot of people who got fantasy top cards. So people put noties on for you. They amplify everything you do. Someone could just say GM and it could do like 10K impressions because they had entire groups based on the fantasy top because people were printing on you from a fantasy perspective. So I do think sometimes it's like you need to understand those things. But because of fantasy top, I actually think fantasy top had an effect on the space where some people good, some people bad, everybody in between, mostly good, because I think a lot of those people are good, have people with notifications on for them now. They have people who like boost their content. My point is, if you are talking about Mega ETH and then suddenly along comes the whole, influencer brigade, like the people, like the friggin', Riders of Rohan and Lord of the Rings coming down to talk about Mega ETH when everything comes live, do you have worry that like, you're like, I'm talking about this thing, I'm diving in. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's interesting. I'm excited to be here, but my $15,000 airdrop is now, $150 because everybody came in at the end and just took my mind share. Like, do you worry about that?
I don't actually. I did appreciate the Riders of Rohan metaphor, but because they do come when the time is ripe, right? Like when the fruit is ripe on the tree, suddenly they are there. And do they? Are they the chicken or are they the egg? Is also the question. But I think you get a look at like the 30-day Kaito leaderboard, and it looks different than the 7-day. And so as long as they're looking at the right data, like over the last 3 months and maybe weighted valuing or something like that, I think that there's possibly a way to get around that.
To get Mackey's flowers, I think he's doing it the exact right way. What you don't want to do is wait until you start seeing Whale and Ansem talking about
You're late.
You're
late at that point.
Like, you're going to get fractions of fractions of fractions. If they're already talking about it, you're late. The thing to do is find things just like Mackey's done. He's been excited about this since Min. He's been following it. He's been talking about it. If there comes a Mega ETH / Kaito reward and Mackey doesn't get ample, I'll be disappointed because I believe the way he's going about it is exactly the right way. He's not chasing what the leading KOLs are talking about. He's talking about something that he's actually passionate about. And I got to say, because I was going to say it even without him up on stage, but I definitely got to give him flowers because my favorite tweet over the weekend, I don't even, I'm going to butcher it. I should go pull it up so I can quote it exactly. But it was something to the effect of Bread dunking on Jesse.
Yeah.
He's telling him he lost his aura.
I shared that.
Like, Jesse has no aura anymore. He lost his aura with Coin This, and people need to let him know that he's lost his aura and he's hurting base. Sorry, I did get that.
We'll get Brett in here.
S tier tweet, Brett.
I was gonna say get Brett in here in a second, but I shared that one in our private Discord when I was like, we got some nerd tech dunking going on if anybody's interested in following this. And I shared like 3 of the tweets in the conversation because I found it so funny. No, I mean, we know I am a Meg ETH enjoyer. Like, I actually have a tweet that I've been waiting for the algorithm not to be non-existent to send out, which is literally just a screenshot of their speed and talking about that's why it's funny, the argument that happened, because I was talking about like the 100, K TPS and how stunning that is, because it's like 30x a high Solana performance, which is crazy. But no, and to answer Mackey's question, by the way, you asked if the riders of Rohan, the people coming in to tweet when the money comes around, are the chicken or the egg. They're actually the coyote that decapitates the chicken, is what they are. You are the chicken. They're the coyote. So that's where I see it. But no, I'm interested. I think that's a good point about backing out the data a little bit more and figuring out and making it a little bit cleaner, because I know we use Meg as an example. We have Brett here who I'll go to in a second, who has more knowledge of this thing than us. But it's like, that's the thing that always worries me, is I'm like, man, if I start picking one of these things, I'm going to get eaten alive. I'm going to dive in the ecosystem. Then I'm going to be like, man, like, y'all, we've seen this with NFTs, by the way. In NFT world, a lot of these big NFT brands care more about the big time influencers and creators who trash them than they do about their community at times. And they're like, they get real pick me about it. And it ends up like hurting the community. So I'll be curious. That is the delicate balance of things. But Brett, I know you came up here. I'm curious your take on any part in this conversation, because you're actually looking at the back end of this thing and how you're approaching it.
Yo, dudes. I didn't know you guys actually, I didn't think many people saw that tweet. That was like 6 layers down in a fucking nerd thread. And yeah, that was weird, because it's just like, seems so out of left field from him. So I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, this is why I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. You guys read it. As for the Kaito shit, yeah, you guys are touching on a lot of the stuff that are problems with the platform, and and problems is all relative. Like, it can still be a little problem or a big problem, but like, our general thesis since day one has always been to try to do things to reduce the amount of like just general farmers, and Kaito is not a perfect tool, right? So like, if we go on there and say like Polkadot's platform or their model and say, hey, every month you can get X amount of dollars and we'll have a strict adherence to number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Like that doesn't incentivize the right like behavior. It's not organic. It's people that are just like gaming the system and trying to maximize their stuff, right? And then like, you have these bot farms that come in and they can get to number 5 even though no one knows who the fuck they are, and like, you have to give them rewards because it's the thing. Now like, Infinix kind of deviated from that, and they didn't have a strict adherence. They pulled it off and did like some scraping and all this other stuff. But we got the platform or the dashboard specifically because Kaito is useful for quantifying like aggregate conversation demand, like your people in the social arena, which is awesome. But we think if we explicitly say like, these are the people we're targeting and this is who we're getting and this is whatever, that it sets up the wrong incentives. So we prefer to just use it as a tool, and then whenever the time comes where we need to find people that have been along for the ride, we have that information in our back pocket, and then we can go through and allocate as we see fit. So yeah, it's like last minute, like person comes in and leaps over everyone, like that's all downstream of making the decision to like actually run the campaign, be explicit about it, and like having a strict adherence to it versus using your best judgment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, you kind of can have your principles, you can figure out exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it, right? I mean, that makes a little bit more sense to me, the way that you're approaching it. And yeah, like, I think actually when I think about it, like, I sort of almost like, to a degree, to your point, like it's how you use the product. So I take back to a degree, like, my point, only in the sense that like, yeah, like I was probably over indexing on people like looking at and just being like, well, we're just sticking to the leaderboard. Those are the principles we set. Whereas like, you can make some actual values-based decisions on that. So that makes a lot more sense, to me. So I track that. So I track that. I saw Jonah popped up as well. Jonah, I'm curious if you have thoughts on this whole conversation. I know you had some. I got to catch up. I know we got some DMs and you sent me some stuff. I had a kind of a wacky week last week. I was off the grid a little bit. But Jonah, GM, curious your thoughts on any of this. I saw you chum up.
Yeah, GM. We'll go out of stealth in June, probably early June. It looks like with the stuff I sent you. I wouldn't call it a Kaito competitor, but I just will chill for 3 seconds here. I guess basically we've kind of invented Kaito, but for video. Our own version of it with we built our own in-house algorithm. We own the math behind it. We can do Kaito type scoring, but the beauty is we don't do it on Twitter. We do it on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok,
That's my
Instagram.
question. So when you're doing it for video, live streaming or also recorded video or both?
We can do both, right? We're going to start with live streaming. We already have the algorithm ready to go for live streaming, and I can't tell you about who, but we brought on a new team to do recorded video. But we built it for non-Twitter. It'll work on Twitter, but we built it for the first implementation will be Twitch, followed by probably YouTube. We just have to make sure we're not violating their terms of service because we don't want to piss off the Google ad network. But then YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. But we've created a Kaito for video effectively. And the money and the pricing, the scoring is completely different because we want pseudo organics. But we'll go live with the MVP in June, and we're not trying to overhype it on Twitter because Twitter isn't really our customers, but they will get paid in crypto.
Well, let me ask you this:
they won't know it.
If you built the tech to do it for video, why can't you do it for Spaces? And then build it.
Because if I'm just going to be honest, it's just because Spaces aren't big enough. It's not a big enough market for us to spend. All right, so like the thing about AI is inference.
I got you. So obviously the crypto space is big enough, but the total market is not big enough on Spaces.
Yeah, no, because the inference cost is insane. So like the reason Kaito has really high margins is inference cost on text is really cheap, like really cheap. But when you're doing inference costs on audio or video, your inference cost goes up significantly. So like inherently, we're not going to make the same amount of money that Kaito is on Twitter, just because like our margins are going to be smaller because we're using more compute power. It's just you're using internet energy.
I'm not a dev, so take this for granted. But couldn't you just take the transcript? Couldn't you convert the video to text and then do the same thing? Does that not? What am I missing?
Even if I did, but yeah, the answer is yes. But even if I did that, I still have to set up the algorithm, which is a cost and time. I have to set up the Stripe integrations. I have to set up the stablecoin integrations. We have to set up like offset. Like when you decide to target a market, there's a lot of factors that go into actually building a product. And the first thing you do as a business, you say, what is the total addressable market? And like if you told me you want scoring for audio, Spaces wouldn't be what we pick. The first thing we're going to pick is Spotify, and we're going to do podcasts, right? Like just because the audience is because all right. So when you build a Kaito, you're building it not to capture data, but you're really building it to capture what your top of funnel brand uplift is and how likely you are to bring them to middle and bottom funnel as a marketing engine, right? So the first thing when you build a marketing engine is you need to build it for a large enough TAM for advertisers to want to purchase, right? And there's no like you guys are a very rare breed. Like the reality is that most spaces are not worth advertising into. They either don't have a dedicated fan base or quite frankly, a lot of spaces don't have any valuable information in them. And it's really just more like a Skype call for a couple of bros to hang out in, right? It's not set up like a place for a business to get discovery. So, you'd be asking me to build an entire product for like 4 spaces. It's just not monetarily feasible in the long run. But if like you had this as a podcast and it could be on Spotify and Apple Music or whatever, or Apple Podcasts, yeah, there's a huge market for that. There's millions of dollars in advertising for that. And crypto companies would pay a lot of money for that. So the answer is we probably could build it for podcasts, but we wouldn't do it for Twitter Spaces.
I feel like it's a good opportunity to plug our podcasts on Spotify and iTunes. If you're not yet following us over there, click through the DGen account, hit the link tree in there, and then go give us a 5-star review, whichever podcast platform you listen to. And didn't even think about that, but that makes sense. Like, so it gives me hope that at some point in the not so distant future, Steve, we may actually start getting credit from these InfoFi, MarketingFi platforms for talking.
Podcast is actually exceptionally easier than what we're doing. It just would probably be on the later roadmap because, like, again, it's a matter of if you're building a marketplace of because Kaito is effectively an advertising network, right? So if you're building an advertising network, you need to solve for the highest brand value, and the highest brand value is right now it's video. It's very simple as to why that is. If you're live streaming and there's video, it means you have an active, engaged audience based on your CCV and the metrics around your chatters, right? Like that's obvious. Active viewership is super valuable. That's something that Spaces has as an edge. The second thing you look at is replay functionality. This is where VOD is superior to a Spaces. Most people don't go back to a Spaces and listen to a recording. They used to, but they don't anymore. That's where podcasts have an edge more than Spaces, is replayability, right? Like if Joe Rogan records a podcast, I don't have to listen to it at that time. I'll go back and I'll listen to it when I'm not busy. Same thing for video if you have a dedicated user. And now the video is really important because if you have an active viewer on a VOD, there's a much higher likelihood that someone will see the ad in some organic integration, right? So it's just looking at where the most value is, and then if we need to add little things over time, we can. But I'm talking about Kaito. I think that I think it levels out. Like I think Kaito is a fantastic tool, and if you're using it for just analytics and not for pushing rewards on its own, just on that metric, it would already be. Sorry, someone just tried to call me on the basis of just being an analytics platform without the rewards, they'd already be a successful company. So I feel that Kaito has a potentially pretty bright future. And the only reason that the yapping is kind of overcrowded is just because the rewards that are available. But if you eventually levy out and measure out the rewards, the yapping would kind of slowly dissipate and you'd have more organic yaps. So I think this is just a function of a lot of money coming in at one time. And over time, it'll slowly disperse. And then people will say, oh, Kaito's dead, Kaito's dead. But it won't be because it'll already have enough subscribers on the analytics side to make it a long-lasting business, so long as crypto Twitter is needed. And I'm sure Kaito's next step is to venture into non-Twitter. Like it's obvious that's where you go with this. So not surprised.
Yeah, I would not be surprised either. I pulled up a post from Shiv here talking about, on topic, talking about SocialFi. It'll eventually get wrenched. There's a new thing coming every other day, going from Kaito, Ethos, Cookie.fun, and there's probably a lot more incoming. Most of these products don't even need to be replicated or introduced, not mentioning any of the above, of course, but more so on the next wave that'll join. It's more than likely coming. I agree. I think there's going to be a lot more of these types of platforms coming. Maybe the best one hasn't been created yet. I tend to lean that we've probably... It's probably like the roller coaster.
I said this last Spaces is it doesn't matter about being. This is why I was like, yeah, I'm going all in on this. I'm going to build a startup in this. It doesn't matter if you could have it on YouTube land and on TikTok land. You could have 20 Kaitos like at the same size. They could each be worth like $500 million to $1 billion. It doesn't matter. We are very focused in this little corner of the universe because we are a niche. Within even crypto, we're a niche, right? Like Bitcoiners aren't thinking about Kaito, right? So even Kaito's in a niche. But when you go to YouTube or you go to TikTok or Instagram or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, having a 1 million subscriber channel is like table stakes for a lot of creators. Like that's considered like, okay, whatever. And then there's like 100,000 other channels with like 1 million subscribers. Right? The scale is so different that Kaito going to Web 2 wouldn't affect anyone else's plans to do the same. Like it just wouldn't matter because it's just such a it's $1 trillion a year market. Advertising is $1 trillion a year market. Like, there aren't many other markets of that size. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I agree. Either the Kaitos of the world are going to go to these other platforms, or we're going to see new ones spun up. Yes, this is very niche here, and crypto is very unique in terms of like what you can do with a much smaller reach. It's part of why I think we haven't seen the end form of this yet, right? I do think that the conceptually this does transfer into, like, for a while I said there's going to be a lot of creators come to this space when they start seeing the rewards, or this sort of thing goes to.
See, I disagree on that point.
Oh, they wouldn't come if they can get the similar rewards doing what they're, where they're already at. Like the InfoFi, the marketing fi comes to them on their platforms, and then maybe they don't.
Yeah, that part. So like, I work with tons of creators, and like, creators are wired differently than you are, or I am, or anyone in this space is, right? In crypto, the wiring, like, let's use ICO Beast as an example. If you took the philosophy that the way ICO Beast creates here in crypto and he applied it to YouTube, he would fail on his face instantly. Like, he would have no coverage, okay? Like, the philosophy of content creation, and by the way, I'm good friends with ICO, so like, I think he'd agree with me. It's not a shit talking thing. It's just like the way of the world, right? The people who make YouTube or Twitch content, for example, first off, people don't realize how much money these people are making. I have a friend. She's a streamer. She gets about 1,000 CCV a day. Just so you know, she makes like 30 to 40,000 a month. Okay, and that's just on subscriptions. That doesn't include advertising. I don't think people realize how much creators make in Web 2 when they're at the top. Like, it's a different level, right? And 1,000 CCV is considered the top on Twitch. That's a 0.1% bracket in terms of viewership, right? On YouTube, if you have a million subscriber channel, even a 100K channel, if you have a high input audience, you're making mid 6 figures a year. There's a YouTube channel that has 75,000 subs. It's an AI information and news channel. Okay, so this guy has several ways of making money. One, the Google ads, and because he's talking about AI, his CPM is way higher. Simple equation: if you talk about AI and you're converting users into AI products that are on average $200 a month, that means you have a high value user, which means your CPMs are higher, which means you're making way more money in ads than anyone else. That's why tech channels on YouTube are the highest profitable channels pretty much in the world, because you're selling hardware direct. You're basically an Amazon service, right? That just makes you super valuable. You're like Best Buy level shit. So I just think that people in crypto a lot of people in crypto think that crypto is where big money is made. And the actual truth is that's not really true if you're a normal person in crypto. If you're like, I don't know, a James Wynn, or you're the founder of Kaito, or you're in Pump Fund, like, if you're at the top, yes, there's ungodly money. But when you're good at your job in Web 2, it's just a different level. I just don't think people understand how real creators think. And also, their clout is almost more important to them than making the money, because the reason they were a creator in the first place is because they're a sociopath. Most creators are sociopaths who care about their image more than they care about the money.
You just struck why I'm not a successful creator, because I am far less concerned about the money, to a fault. But I think what you said there, a couple things on that. I think one, the idea of like InfoFi is not something I'm fading. I just think, I talked about it at the top of the show, I think a lot of the brands in this space, I have a whole article I'm going to actually finally finish on this thing now that I'm back week, and the week before that were a little bit of a wash for me for some personal reasons. But I was working on this article about the over-financialization of sort of everything, and why it sort of drove well-intended innovation in the wrong direction. And I think like that's like the thing we run into with Kaito. Like, they're printing money people are, lining up to tell them that they're kings. Why would they try to pivot a product like Jonah's talking about to be like, hey, we're going to make billions in Web 2 when they can continue to like feed the money into here? That's going to continue to get them paid and they'll be perfectly happy. Like the incentivization to innovate and create something that will be great in Web 2, I don't think is as high. So that's, I guess, like that actually synthesizes my point a little bit tighter about what I'm thinking about Kaito, which is, are they going to try to build the product to break out of Web 2 or break out of Web 3? Or are they going to just say, hey, we can print in Web 3 as long as we want, and then eventually we could ride off into the sunset and have an exit, and that's that. Like I said, like, the idea that nobody created like an all-in-one place that could, I look at, again, the marketplace is like new chains, new tokens, new this. It's like you could create a home and all-in-one place for people to live and, have everything you need to know about, NFTs, tokens also, yes, which I know some are leaning that direction. And then you take that and you turn it into a white labeled piece for big brands that want to have better loyalty programs and everything. It's like, instead it's like, yeah, but like, Pump Fun really rocks. Like, let's do more Pump Fun stuff. And that's where I wonder, is Kaito going to expand to the way we're talking about? I think
probably when the cycle is dead. Like when we go into the, like, if you're Kaito, you don't need to go do that right now. Just wait for the cycle to end when everything starts dying, just.
But that's too late. Don't you think that
when everything dies down, then you can start working on that? You don't need to do that right now.
But I guess like my point is, like, that's how businesses don't succeed, is you wait until, like, it's the New England Patriots theory. Back in the day, the New England Patriots, everyone would be shocked when they would trade away a player who was a longtime loyal player. And then it was always Bill Belichick traded them away 1 year or 2 years before they fell off. He always knew. He was always ahead of the game. And I do think like I agree with you, Jonah, 100%. I think that's exactly what will happen. But I don't know that it's a recipe for success to wait until, it's the Mayan trope about like, the Mayans had an earthquake. So they, built earthquake proof walls, and then they had a flood. So they moved up the mountains to be higher from the flood. And they're always waiting for the next disaster instead of preparing for it. Like every good tech business that I think about that's been funded by VCs in the past, 20 years, yes, they pivot, yes, they iterate, but most of them have a plan for something that can change the world in some way or change what they want to do. And then they work relentlessly towards that plan with an eye on the future in 10 years and 15 years. There are entire innovation departments to make sure, if you look at the S&P 500 or the top, the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the 80s, and you look at it now, completely different. Now that's why, there's a whole podcast on EXOs at A16Z did a couple years ago that's pretty good about the idea of like, you need to have an innovation group. Progressive had an innovation group. Nestle had an innovation group. Like, you need to have an innovation group to stay in front of things. And I worry that instead of thinking 5, 6, 7 years down the line of where InfoFi can be, Kaito just slowly bleeds into a watered down, like, I don't want it to go this way, but like one direction it could go is, like you said, the cycle ends, it becomes watered down, the rewards become not worth going after, and suddenly it's like Blur, and it's like the other products that it's like, yeah, like that's great, but like it's not going to move outside of the space. And I think the right InfoFi has the opportunity to escape this space, kind of what you're talking about, where it's like being able to do better and utilize AI to look into podcasts and streamers and videos. Like that to me is super valuable. I just worry about it's like, yeah, no, we're working on token rewards on governance tokens. And so that's where it's like, I actually see the vision, but I think if they wait that long, that's where they run into trouble. That's my take on it. So I don't know. Cap, interesting. I know we're running about a time. Like for me, super interesting conversation across the board. I think as far as this stuff goes, I know like we had some people being like, oh, we're talking Kaito again, but I think it's relevant. And I think like this is an interesting angle of it, of like where it goes and what we do. But Cap, any other cleanup or parting thoughts before we let everyone get out of here?
We buried the lead. Happy Memorial Day to everyone off today, and hopefully you're doing a cookout. So, much respect to anyone who, lost a family member or a loved one, defending our freedoms, and paying the ultimate price. If you know any veterans who may have lost friends, like I'm going to go say hi to my friend Frank with Duke here in a minute. And I don't know, he was in Vietnam. I'm assuming he lost some close friends, and just going to go spend a little extra time with him today. But completely on non-Web3 related, but it is a holiday here in the States, and we show up every day, power through those holidays, but at least wanted to pay some homage to those that lost their lives before us.
Yeah, here. That's a good call. Like, we did not lead with that. It is it's not just a bank holiday. It's not just getting off school and work for a lot of people. It's it's a very real important day. So I think it's a good call, Cap, on that for sure. But yeah, no, good to be back. Anything else we missed? I saw you jump for a second there.
I can't believe I'm saying this. It's May 26th, and I may not be able to max enter the puppy, the $5 puppy on Underdog. It's about to fill. It's over 90% full already, and it's not even June. This is the year of best ball. You're hearing it here first. As someone who's spent well over a decade in fantasy sports, this is the newest evolution of fantasy sports. It is having its DraftKings moment. It's having its DraftKings if you watch football, you've seen a DraftKings and FanDuel ad. We're heading into the Underdog era. You're going to see, I believe, I have no idea their marketing budget. I don't know, but all I'm saying is from the attention they're garnering in the space, it's insane. I could enter these are drafts, like 12 people have to enter for it to actually start. Normally, like last season, as the season approached, you might have to wait like 5 minutes, 10 minutes for a draft to fill. Now, I can enter a draft at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning on May 26th, and the thing is filled almost instantly. We're seeing an explosion in activity in the best ball streets, and I know that means nothing for most people. I'm pretty confident we're seeing a paradigm shift in the world of sports betting, fantasy sports, and I'm pretty excited because I think I was a little early to this shift, and I think it's cautiously optimistic. Anything can happen. I need some run good, but I think we're going to be celebrating come December with a pretty decent year in the best ball street, Steve.
I mean, this is why I want them to do the daily fantasy style best ball. I like best ball, but I don't want to get in a draft for best ball. I don't want to draft. I don't like drafting. Drafting isn't interesting to me. I know you thrive on it. You look for those edges. I just want to draft it like a daily fantasy. So I am hoping that that becomes a normal thing for it, because I actually had so much fun playing my first best ball last year on IKB, which I don't even know if IKB is still a thing or not. But I'm hoping to do a little more this year, but I don't like doing the draft. Drafting is not my, drafting is not my jam. So I'm hoping that they do a little bit of change in there. But yeah, other than that, Cap, I mean, good day to be back. I'm going to do a little bit of cooking out, do a little bit of eating in a little here in a little bit, and ready to get back after it after a little bit. My June is kind of sticky as far as time going. By the way, if you're in the Midwest, I feel for you. June currently is approaching, and it has basically been in the 50s and 60s nonstop as we approach June. So it is a miserable place to be, as we just want to have summer happen. Hopefully it leads for a longer summer, but we continue to ride through it. And I think I've made a decision. I think I'm going to book NFT NYC, even though it's going to be a crazy turnaround for me to get back here and then immediately get back in the car. So I think we're going to do it. So I'll probably see some people there. But that said, let's let everyone sail off another day. Great discussion. Thanks everyone who came up this morning. Brett, Jonah, Captain Dad Pants, Mackie, and all the other friends up there. Appreciate you coming up, and Mason sharing some point of views this morning. Snowflake, everybody who came up and gave us some thoughts. Love it when we have a packed stage and a good topic to talk about. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.